There is no such thing as race. None.
Really?
There's just a human race, scientifically, anthropologically. Racism is a construct, a social construct, and it has benefits. It has money can be made off of it, and people who don't like themselves can feel better because of it. It can describe certain kinds of behavior that are wrong or misleading. So it has a social function, racism. But race can only be defined as a human being.
If the racist white person, I don't mean the person who is examining his consciousness and so on, doesn't understand that he or she is also a race. It's also constructed. It's also made. And it also has some kind of serviceability. But when you take it away, I take your race away. And there you are, all strung out. And all you got is your little self. And what is that?
Do you know what it means to have a revolution? And what it takes to make a solution? Fighting against oppression. Ooh, yeah. Battering down depression. Oh, yeah. Whoa. Ooh, yeah.
What are you without racism? Are you any good? Are you still strong? Still smart? You still like yourself? If you can only be tall because somebody's on their knees, then you have a serious problem. And my feeling is white people have a very, very serious problem. And they should start thinking about what they can do about it.
You don't think you'll ever change and write books that incorporate white lives into them substantially?
You can't understand how powerfully racist that question is, can you? Because you could never ask a white author, when are you going to write about black people? Whether he did or not, or she did or not. Even the inquiry comes from a position of being in the center.
And being used to being in the same
Being used to being in the center.
Black roses in my garden.
Can only be defined as
To keep and care it, you've got to water it. To keep and care it, you've got to water it.
Jesus told us to stop looking for heaven in the sky. He said the kingdom of heaven is within you. And that we are the temples of the living God. That the living God lives in our temple, and he does not inhabit the sky, but he inhabits the higher realms of the heavens, of the realm of the secret innermost chambers of the subconscious chamber of the soul of man and woman. And this power bursts forth and emanates forth from him to set in motion a universal order based on principle and law. All of this set in motion by a divine power and a divine force that never dies. It's constant. It just changes form. God is in man.
When the sun rises on me, did I get enough sleep? When the sun rises on me, did I get enough sleep?
is in man. Can't be in any man. He's got to be in the original man. Because if God is the first and everything comes from him, then he can't wait for anything else. He brings everything else into existence. There could be no white man if there were no black man. It is biologically and genetically impossible for the recessive white man to produce the dominant yellow baby. Biologically and genetically impossible for the recessive yellow man and woman to produce the dominant brown baby. And biologically and genetically impossible for the recessive brown man and woman to produce the dominant black baby. But that black man and his woman, the father and the mother of it all, can produce black, can produce brown, can produce red, can produce yellow. And if the seed runs wild,
yeah, yo, it's a lonely road for a lonely soul. I got big dreams, many miles to go. Feeling life's good when I hold my own, but I got a few friends that'll tie me over. Got a few ways that'll help my needs. Headed out the Shire like tiny peeps. Walking this earth, God reminds me. Keep my close ones closer than easy reach. I just wanna go where the light still shines, over grassy hills where the air's sublime. Travel past Schitt's Creek, dare I say, all the dark that I face trying to tear I away. Something inside that's so strong, got me climbing heights although it's long. Got me finding way through the hardest path, worth it in the end when it's all past. Yeah. Climbing these rocks over mountain peaks, wetting my beak where the fountain creaks. Finding my way though the doubts will speak that I'll never ever be what amounts in me. Such astounding BS, drowning peace. But I got love in the chest, golden heaps. Come across the pit, see the snakes still leap. Defeat these fears like the ghosts that creep. But I got this sword from the Lord, it reads, thou shalt not fear any in the valley. You're the light born in the dark of Halloween. One day you'll be jacked with your Sally. Take me to a place where we could go. Take me to a place where we could go. Take me to a place where we could go. Only you will know, only you will know. Take me to a place where we could go. Take me to a place where we could go. Take me to a place where we could go. Only you will know. We could be alone, baby. We could be alone, baby.
Man, you can go way beyond no man never even. But it's a very deep walk, man.
Revolution, any mass change is always spontaneous, it's combusted, it comes out of nowhere, and then boom, here we are in the next stage of history. But up until those points in time, it's our role as people who give a shit to stir the pot and to create the necessary intellectual and emotional tension that gets people closer and closer and closer to that edge. And when these times come, they're more likely to participate because they've been waiting for it. It's like preparatory work. But the point is this: those who have died struggling and those who have died nameless are the only people that can give our life. If one is not able to make the connection between those who have died and those who are currently living, I don't know what hope there is. Because we derive our meaning of life from those who have died. When we forget about those people because of propaganda and other issues, when we forget about those people and we stop walking with them, they die in vain. We spit on them and we choke them out of history like this cop choked Floyd out of his own existence. Point to that is this officer is guilty as charged, but we're also guilty in the metaphorical sense of silencing the dead. Like how many I'm not anything. I am only a being that can give rise and voice and reason to those who have died unjustly, unfairly. I'm an instrument. I'm nobody compared to people who have lost their lives in these struggles. And you know what? I'm okay with that. But when I say the name Matthew Hines, for example, people ought to ask themselves, why can I list 3 of Drake's top songs, but I don't know who the hell Matthew Hines is? Another needless death behind bars, where 7 officers pepper spray, slammed his head against the tiles of the shower, his shirt over his head while he's gasping for air. They called it synonymous to waterboarding. His body was in such shock that he went into multiple seizures. In the end, he leaves the prison facility into an ambulance, straight into a body bag. And this is a guy who was waiting for 1 week. He was 1 week away from being transferred to an institution that was going to give him the help he needed for his mental health issues. His family was waiting. They're like, don't worry, 1 week, it's okay, 1 week. And he had
Hey Dave, are you okay? You okay? You okay? You okay? Hey Dave, are you okay? You okay? Are you okay? You've been walking around the city, you've been talking to yourself. You've been walking around the town and talking to yourself out loud. Hey Dave, are you okay? Are you okay? You okay? Hey Dave, are you okay? Are you okay? You okay? You've been walking around the city, you've been talking to yourself, yeah. You've been walking around the town and talking to yourself out loud. Yeah. Hey Dave, hey Dave.
Um, 2 days prior, my son had had an altercation with another student at the school. We assumed.
Your son?
Yeah.
Your son had an altercation with somebody? Your pure son? With no Honduras in him?
Yes, yes,
Pure
Your
as
Honor.
snow?
Yes, yes.
Uncut?
You've not learned anything. I think you need help. You need direction. You need therapy. You need boot camp.
I think you need a life.